Hi, welcome back to my channel. Here is the wrap up from January to April. So because this wrap up is like over a 4 month span, I'm just gonna kind of go with the stuff that I vividly remember consuming. Just because there was quite a bit of stuff that I did consume media wise, so I'm just gonna, yeah, like I said, go with the stuff that I vividly remember. And just as like a heads up, I will go into this just kind of assuming that there are going to be spoilers. The first book that I officially finished was in January, and that was The Melodies by, I don't have my book right now. So I'm going to put the book right here. And as you can see, it's by this author. Sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head who it is, but and I think I ended up rating it a 4.5 out of 5. Okay, the only reason I knocked it down a 0.5 points was because of the pacing at the first half of the book. I'm just going to quickly explain what the book is, then I'll get into the pacing theme. So the book takes place in like a post-apocalyptic world, kind of. Yeah, it is what we consider that. In this world, Native American and indigenous people are being hunted down for their bone marrow. I don't remember if there's like specific populations that this happened to, but I would just assume that it was like a great deal of population. Most of the population in the world ends up losing the ability to dream. And so, like, somehow they find out that if they take the bone marrow from Native Americans and indigenous people, they can gain back that ability to dream. So that's why indigenous people are hunted down in the book. So that is like a vague overview. And the main character is Saint Frenchie, and he ends up traveling with this group of other indigenous people to try to get away from recruiters who are the people that are hunting them down. So this is where I get into spoilers. Overall, the book was like really great. I loved reading it so much. I did connect with multiple characters, especially Wab, which is WAM, which hopefully I'm saying that right, but I connected with her the most because her character development was really, I wouldn't say interesting, it was just, I guess, the hardest to read for me. So a lot of the characters are very interesting and they all have their own personality, which I really did enjoy reading about. And of course, when we're going deeper into the story, there was a lot of development that ended up being very sad, and then some that were very happy. Like I said, with pacing, the first half of the book, it did kind of drag on a little bit, which granted it was expected because it was a lot of like camping and moving on north. So that slow pacing didn't make sense, but for me, it just kind of dragged on a little bit too much. But then at the same time, I did kind of appreciate it because it kind of does put you into that mindset of having to do stuff repeatedly with the characters each and every day. For me, it just dragged on just like about a chapter too long, if that makes sense. But after like reaching the middle half, things really did start to pick up and the rest of the book just went fast paced. Yeah, I didn't want to knock it down too much, so I went with the 0.5. That's why, because it was still a really good book that I did enjoy a lot. So after reading The Marrow Thieves, I didn't read anything else really, like for myself. A lot of the stuff that I ended up reading after that was like short stories and textbooks for classes. And this semester, I ended up taking like a horror class, so I did get to read some horror short stories. So I'm just gonna go through like the top ones that I really remember the most. Though I am not gonna remember the authors by heart because, I went through these really quickly. So the first one was The Vampire. This one, it was okay, I guess. It was kind of hard to understand just because of the writing. It was felt very old writing, and it was just kind of hard to understand because it felt very complex to understand. But I did get like the gist of it. It started off kind of boring for me. Nothing really happened, but the ending is what I liked the most about it because it ended very bitter and like just not really sad, but like just like I guess it gave off like a spiteful energy. That ending, that ending was really really good ending. Then the next short story was Laura Miller. This is another story that I ended up liking. So it takes on the characteristics of what you would expect a vampire story to be like, but without specifically saying that it was about vampire. And that is the reason why I liked it, just because it didn't outright talk about a vampire, but you can get the gist of it. Again, it was another okay story, but that was just it was a story that I vaguely remember a lot. And then the next story, it is The Summer People. This one I rated it a 5 out of 5. Like, it was amazing for me, like a lot, really amazing. This one actually made me uncomfortable, which is saying a lot because horror stories usually don't make me uncomfortable. They don't make me scared. But while I was reading this one did send chills, just because the situation that the couple were in, plus the writing, just made like the story very vivid, and like you could like feel yourself being in that situation as the couple. Honestly, I really love it. Like, when I'm thinking about it, it was just really great. One of the reasons why the story was pretty good is because you got to see the couple's interactions with the different people in the town, and then you get to see how the people in the town that don't want them there. I don't know why, but those details like that just make the story more heightened, and then like all the stuff that follow that just make it, I don't know, I just really, really love it so much. And I will say the ending was something that I do remember a lot. So the couple is sitting in the dark of their what is it, cottage or something like that, cabin, whatever. And it just ends abruptly with them sitting in the dark with no radio, no lights, and there's a storm outside. And like I said, and because of that setup, it can go, like I said, in two complete directions. Like, the first direction can just go with them just surviving the night basically, and like waiting till morning to figure out what they're gonna do after everything ends. And then the second ending can go in an extreme ending where the people of the town attack the couple. Like I said, it's just like, I like how it left it open-ended basically. And then for the final story that I remember, it's, what is it? It's Whipped. The Whip of the Dogs, or is it? It's something like that. Title right here. The story wasn't like enjoyable, but it was like a story that was kind of hard to stop reading, just because the setting and the characters kind of make it hard for you to stop reading. And this story, again, like the last one, is one where you kind of have to make up your own meaning behind it. Yeah, I really don't know what to say about this story. It's just, it was a weird story. Really don't know my feelings about it. I like the writing and like the way that the author conveys the setting and the tone of the city that it's set in, because it again makes you feel like you're there. So yeah, I really don't know how I feel about this, but honestly though, I really suggest that you read it and like come up with your own meaning behind it, because yeah. So the first show that I didn't finish, I just started rewatching it, was Everybody Hates Chris. I just saw somebody watching it on TikTok, so I got the urge to rewatch it. Well, rewatch it slash watch it for the first time, because you know, when you're like back then when you're watching TV, like you never really like watch the episodes in order, or like, you know what I mean, finish the episodes, because TV doesn't have like a marathon of it. So I'm both rewatching it and watching it at the same time, because some of the episodes I have watched before. And then the second show, again, I'm rewatching it. It's School Babysitters, and it's really cute anime. I love how the babies are drawn because they're so cute, like really, really, really cute. It's 13 episodes, and if you want to watch something that is very like light and funny and cute, then yeah, really watch it because it's really good. The third show is The Ancient Magus Bride. Again, it's another show I did really like. Okay, so the plot was good. One of the things that I did kind of wish with this is that some of the storylines and like the characters and like certain elements were expanded a little bit more, like just a little bit more, because when I was watching, I felt like something Like some things could have been explained more, or like elements could have been more useful. I don't know if the manga is like that, but yeah. The best thing that I did like about the show was the music, because the music was really pretty. So I think that's all the shows that I ended up watching. So we're gonna move on to movies. Okay, so movies, I did watch like a lot of them for these 4 months. Most of the movies I did watch were for my horror class, so a good half of these were gonna be horror stuff. So the first movie was back in February, and that was Scream 2020. Um, Watched it kind of late, a little bit about a month late. So when I went to watch it in theaters, I was basically the only one in the theater. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but I really did enjoy it. Honestly, I really don't know what to say about it. Like, it was enjoyable, but like there was nothing really too big to discuss on it, because it did kind of go like a Scream movie. So, and I did love how Sydney's and Gail's story did play out, especially the ending. Like, I like that ending a lot. And the next movie is a movie that I've been waiting to watch since it was announced or released, and that was Gintama the Very Final. I just happened to see that the movie was on YouTube, and I tried to rent it, but it wouldn't let me. So I ended up getting the DVD, which I am extremely happy about. And I've watched this movie about 10 times already. When I got the DVD, I just kept playing it over and over again because I loved it so much. A lot. Yeah, there's basically a lot of stuff that I can talk about this movie that I like, and like I can gush about it for about a good amount of time. So I'm just gonna quickly express the parts that I did like. Um, First off, that ending, like the very end with the song and the music, I loved how they did like an overview of all the endings. So I don't know if they mix the endings and the openings together. I know that a majority of the scenes that float by are from endings, like references to the ending. But I'm pretty sure that I saw like some references to the opening. I don't know. Also, I love the parts where, of course, they call back to certain lines that were in the show, especially the one where Shinpachi is, I don't know, describing Gin, because I love that. Where he says, I don't remember, it's not going to be exact wordy, but he says that Gin's eyes are too fierce for a samurai, but too focused to be a thug. Oh my god, I love that part so much, because that is just, oh, I can't, that like that part just makes my heart happy to hear. And then like the ending when Gin tells Tama that they're there to always wipe her eyes, that one really hurt in a good way, because I loved hearing that. Another thing I liked about the movie was the way how they made the final battle silent. Like, I think that was probably the best thing, because then you get to focus on like the different ways that Gin is moving and like how everything plays out. And that silent battle was very powerful without the music. I loved it. And then the final thing, and it's one of my favorite things that happened in the movie, was the different point of views that happened. So usually, for the most part in the show, a lot of the point of view is through Oddjobs' eyes. And there are some moments where you get like a third point of view where you're watching the Oddjobs, but it's not like a majority thing. Most of it is through like their eyes. One of the things that the movie did was do that third point of view where you're watching Gin, Kagura, and Shinpachi, and like you're seeing how other people perceive them. I love that part, especially that one where they're all together again, where they're fighting and you're like seeing them fight from third person. And I know another part where they did that dirt point of view was when they were driving up the terminal. So the different point of views, but especially the dirt point of views, were like my favorite part of the movie. Like, I just loved them so much. Like I said, I can like talk about this movie and like the different parts that made me happy to watch it, but I'll probably do that later on in another video. So the first horror movie that I watched for my horror class was Silence of the Lambs. This is a movie that I never watched before, just because every time it came on TV, it never really appealed to me. And like when I saw the movie posters, I for some reason it didn't appeal to me. But because I wanted to do one of my assignments on the movie that week, which was Silence of the Lamb. I decided just to watch it, and I really wish I watched it before. I greatly enjoyed this. Like, this was fun for me to watch. I love the setting and like the different actors that were in it. The setting and then the tone overall was just like really on point. Yeah, I just love like the motifs and like the symbolism and all that stuff that are in this movie, because all those things made it very enjoyable for it to watch, and it made it very easy for me to do a thesis on this movie. Next movie, again, it's another horror one, and it was The Haunting, 1963, I think. Again, it's another movie that I ended up enjoying. I never watched it before. Of course, it's the tone and like the setting and like actually the dialogue too is what I liked a lot about this movie. The camera angles were really what set the movie off and made it interesting to watch. And the tension between each character also made it very enjoyable to watch, because it made it feel like you can't really tell what the characters were gonna that tension, it made it feel like you can't really tell what the characters were gonna do next. So it was surprising to see what was gonna happen next. But yeah, that is pretty much it for this wrap up. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe if you want to, and I hope you have a nice day, morning, or night. Bye. Later.